Pay attention! We're starting now! Go!
What is up, everybody? Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome in particular to Rockin Robbie Live. I am your host, Rockin Robbie Billups, joining you for this illustrious Sunday night where we're going to chat about comics, pop culture, movies, and a whole lot more. How is everybody doing? I hope you had a great weekend already. I had a weird echo in my headphones. It was messing me up there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rockin Robbie Live. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. I have had a fantastic week. I hope you have as well. Hope you're having a great Memorial Day weekend. And if you're off tomorrow, congratulations. I'm not. FOC waits for no man. Anyway, welcome into the show. We got a lot of stuff planned for tonight, including, but not limited to, the DC sneak peek, show and tell, a little bit of chatting, and maybe a little bit of Marvel in the 90s if we feel so inclined. But even though we got a plan, grandiose some may call it, this show is driven, fueled if you will, by your questions, your thoughts, your comments, and your concerns. So get them in right now. What do you want to chat about? Let us know. By the way, I want to say this. You should join the PCP Army. That's the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, and if you're on Facebook or Instagram, follow Pop Culture Philosophers there. You can follow me over at X at the Rockin Robbie, and you can help support the channel over at patreon.com/PCP, like those PCP patrons right there, or with the super chat. But all the support we need is a like, a share, subscribing to the channel, and of course, participating in the conversation. Tomorrow night, we are concluding Anime, which is a portion of our cruise choice this year. All throughout May, all the picks had to be anime films, right? It's anime. Get it? Anyway, it's Jelani's pick on Monday. That's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central Time. We'll be talking about Ninja Scroll. That's tomorrow night on PCP Movie Night. And also do remember that Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central Time will be the monthly comic book review. We now pause for station identification. Get those stations out in the chat right now. All right, what is up, everybody? How you doing? It's been a week since we've been here on Rockin Robbie Live. Hope you've had a wonderful week. I've had a pretty solid week, had a pretty solid weekend. Hung out with the boys last night to watch Saturday night's main event. And yes, there's a lot of commercials, but all in all, I enjoyed the show. Friday was spent chilling with some good, close people in my life. And it's been a great weekend. I hope you've had a great weekend as well. Today's been a self-care Sunday. That's laundry. Getting ready for the show. Things like that. I did watch some Breaking Bad this afternoon. Read some comics. We got things coming up. That's right. We got things coming up. But first, I want to take a look at the chat. See what everybody's saying. When you get in here, throw out a station, throw out a pop, pop, boom, anything like that. We got GT Key Comic in the house. Derek is in the house. Pete saying, what is happening, comic fan? Hope you're all doing great. Hope you had an awesome weekend. Station, let's go Oilers. All right, we'll go Oilers. That one's for you, Pete. Eddie wants to know if you can smell what the Robbie is cooking. Dark Fizzo says, smells like a skunk. No comment. James is up in the house with an evening PCP army. We got 90s Arcade in the house with a station. Eddie says, yeah, it smells dank. Hey, it's Eric from 9 Panel Grid here saying station, driving, and listening. Well, glad to be on your radio in your car. It's one of the things I've always wanted to do was be a radio voice in someone's car on a long drive to nowhere. Dark Fizzo says, eyes watering from the dank smoke. All right, y'all, all right. Acres of Movies is in the house. Hello and thanks. Love, Stacy. Been away a while and happy to see you. Thanks for fun programs. Well, thank you for being here and making these programs even more fun. Eddie says, Robbie, I bought 4 short boxes yesterday full of Savage Dragon, Hellboy, BPRD, Madman, Lovin' Rockets, and more. Still in a daze. 4 short boxes of Savage Dragon, Hellboy, BPRD, Madman, Lovin' Rockets, and more. You talking about some of the greatest comic books made in the last 30 years, and you've got 4 short boxes ready to go? Bruh, you should be in a daze of splendor, my friend. You got some good stuff, man. Send us some pics. We got CTA Frank in the house, Station. We got Two Gun Pedro in the house with Station PPX Army. That's right, it is the year of the heel, as evident in everything that we do around here. And if you're not down with PCPX, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. So there you go. What's up, Ghetto Head? How you doing? Aker says, from inside, word is Nightmare Before Christmas has a live action film being greenlit. What do you think? Who do you think should be cast for the key roles? Live action? How the hell did they do a live action Nightmare Before Christmas? I don't want it. I'm not going to fan cast that because that's a dumb idea. Let Nightmare Before Christmas stand on its own. Live action reboot? What does that even mean? What would they do? Dress people up as Jack Skellington? Get the fuck out of here. That's ridiculous. Eddie says, I need only 16 issues now to have a full Savage Dragon run. Bruh, that's super freaking sweet. Congratulations, not too many people have a full Savage Dragon run. What's up, Cantonese Comic Kid? How you doing, my bruh? Easy Reader is in the house. How you doing? Station. Eddie says, I plan on making a video of it all. Finally get to experience Hellboy after loving that new Frankenstein series. You've never read Hellboy before? Bruh, you are in for it. You got some good treats in there. What Hellboys are in? I can't make the video. I can't wait to see it, bruh. Super, super cool. Dark Fizzo says, I'm reading the Hickman run of Fantastic Four to get ready for the movies. Liking it so far. Well, I'm glad you're liking it because it's a really solid run. It really is. You know, people all the time ask me, because they know I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, they're like, what runs? I go, Kirby Lee, John Byrne. I would throw in Tom DeFalco and Paul Ryan. That's just me. Walt Simonson, a little bit before that, actually. Walt Simonson into Paul Ryan and Tom DeFalco. Then, I would say Mark Waid, Mike Wieringo. But Hickman. And if you want to start somewhere that feels, if you want to start with like a Fantastic Four book that feels giant, epic, well-written, well-executed, beginning, middle, end to the story, I would recommend the Hickman Fantastic Four run, which goes from Fantastic Four into FF and then splits between FF and Fantastic Four. And then even kind of in a way, elements of that story continue on into Avengers and New Avengers by Hickman, into Secret Wars by Hickman. It's a really great masterstroke. 100%. Dante's Game Room is in the house. MGT Entertainment Station. Good to see you here. Well, thank you, Eddie. Acres, I mean, I understand why they would do it, but they just shouldn't. Dark Fizzo says a full Savage Dragon run is some serious dedication and addiction. Well, I'm addicted to comics. Bum, 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 bum. Everybody read comics now. What the fuck is wrong with me? What's up, Introspect Station? Southside Ronin's in the house with love from Chicago. Cantonese Comic Kid says, just got finished with my new show, Vampirella Book Club. Well, congrats. Can't wait to go check that out, bro. Vampirella Book Club? Hell yeah. Sounds fun as shit. All right, we got two people talking about Peter David is one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight. Yeah, Peter David. It was announced, or at least I heard the news today, Peter David passed away. I believe he passed away last night. He had been in declining health for a few years. And unfortunately, he passed away. Now, we've covered some Peter David here on the channel back when we did Comics Revisited, which would be a cool idea to bring Comics Revisited back, but you can only do so much. But we covered the first big chunk of his Young Justice run, which I'm a huge fan of, and we covered the first big chunk of his Aquaman run. And I'm a huge fan of that. That's pretty much the run that turned me into an Aquaman fan. I, for some reason, had an affinity and an affection for Aquaman when I was growing up. I blame the Superpowers action figure. I got it right there. You could probably barely see it. You can't see it at all. It's not the one from when I was a kid. Anyway, there was something about Aquaman in those Super Friends cartoons, Galactic Guardians in particular. That was one that I remember coming on after school, I think on ABC or some shit. I'd watch it every afternoon. I loved it. And I remember being like really wanting to read Aquaman. Like I remember reading Aquaman had some appearances in the Funeral for a Friend Superman run and the stuff after that. And he had the long hair. I was intrigued as a kid. Oh, Aquaman's got long hair. What's going on with that? And so I remember picking up and hearing all the commotion when Peter David relaunched post Zero Hour, a new Aquaman book. And Aquaman was pretty badass to me in that run. He got one of his hands eaten by piranha. And he replaced it with this like harpoon thing, like this hook harpoon. He had the long hair, had some armor on. And I remember reading that run and loving that run all the way through. Peter David had a long, extended run on Aquaman that meant a lot to me. Proved to me how badass Aquaman could be. And I think a lot of Aquaman interpretations since lean heavily into his run, albeit maybe ignoring the long hair or the harpoon hand or things like that. And granted, DC went a long ass backwards way to undo all of like the harpoon hand, long hair, beard, and all that shit. And sometimes they bring it back depending on who's playing Aquaman, I guess, in a fucking movie. That being said, his Hulk run was truly extensive, influential, and impactful, and one of the most concrete Hulk runs of all time. He also had a run on X Factor that a lot of people love. did a lot of great work on the character Multiple Man, for instance. But X Factor, even in the 90s and even into modern era, right? Then Supergirl, his efforts on Supergirl cannot be discounted. Supergirl, under his guise and direction, was a pretty solid book that a lot of people really enjoyed. He didn't really get to finish that run the way he wanted to. He's done a lot of work for Marvel. He's done a lot of work for DC. Young Justice, by the way, I briefly mentioned it. Young Justice is fucking awesome. If you get a chance to read Young Justice, you really need to take it because, I mean, yeah, it's 90s and it's 90s cheese, but it's pretty dope stuff. Recently, he had been doing the Symbiote Spider-Man series, which I thought was pretty solid. He's been doing work here and there. But obviously, his health took a turn for the worse. And last night, he passed away. It's a sad loss for the industry. He was a great dude. I met him one time. And I went to go meet him. And he was very actively chatting with a fan right in front of me about Hulk. So I was really excited because I was the dude that was going to show him my Aquaman love and be like, Aquaman means so much to me, blah, blah, blah. So I got him to sign my Aquaman number 0 and 1 and some other Aquaman book. And he didn't seem interested in talking to me about it. I told him the whole spiel, how important Aquaman was to me and shit like that. And he just signed it. He goes, oh, thank you. Yeah, it's cool. And I was like, son of a bitch. Is Peter David a dickhead? Like, what the hell? So then I went back out to the car where I also had some Star Trek novels. And I wanted to bring the Aquaman books first. So I went back later on that afternoon. I brought some Star Trek novels. This dude lit the fuck up, talked to me for like 20 minutes about Star Trek. So I had a really great conversation about Star Trek with Peter David. Big fan. I brought the books that I had him sign. This is Star Trek New Frontier, Book 1. Star Trek New Frontier was basically a new Star Trek show, just in novel form. And it was created and maintained by Peter David. So I remember really liking this series. So I got him to sign the first book for me. He really enjoyed that. There's the signature right there. I also got him to sign Star Trek The Next Generation Strike Zone. This is the 5th of the Next Generation novel series, but it's the first one that was written by Peter David for Next Generation. And I got him to sign it right there. He did a lot of work on Star Trek novels. And then I got a hardcover, Q Squared, by Peter David. And I got him to sign this one. Right there. So he's done Next Generation graphic novels. He's done Next Generation. I think he has maybe done some comics. He's done Next Generation New Frontier. He's done TOS in paperback and hardcover form. So he's done a lot of work. So yeah, let's take a moment of reflection and silence for Peter David. All right, let's take a look at the chat. I am not a Knicks fan, but I have friends who are Knicks fans. So since I don't have a horse in the race this year, go Knicks. Eddie says, yeah, seeing Aquaman in the Funeral for a Friend issues had me curious about him. Yeah, that's exactly. And I guess that's what they were trying to do. They were hotshotting these characters and trying to get us, our young, impressionable minds, interested in reading the adventures of Green Lantern, Aquaman, Firestorm, and shit like that, I guess. Introspect says his X Factor was my favorite at the time. Decker, what's up? Says, hey, Robbie, my first exposure to Peter David was The Incredible Hulk. Decker goes, what is this first issue? 238? Maybe. Peter David. No, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, maybe before that. Peter David's first issue of Hulk. 328. That's what it is. Hey, what's up, Det? Good evening from Denmark. R.I.P. Peter David. Absolutely. Introspect says, I was excited to see him doing some work again with Symbiote Spider-Man 2099 and picked up that mini. Not sure if it ended up being the last thing he finished. Silhouette saying, R.I.P. Peter David. Home of the Brave Comics and News saying, go Knicks. Go Knicks. And R.I.P. Peter David, everybody. For sure. Silhouette wants to know if y'all heard about the Bleeding Cool rumor about the first 3 Vertigo titles to launch. I have not. Let me go to Bleeding Cool real quick and see if I can see this. I haven't heard anything, but I haven't really been looking. In fact, I only knew that Peter David passed away because Joe let me know. First 3 new... Yeah, this is gossip. Nice House by the Sea will kick off the new Vertigo line. That's already happened. The first 3 new Vertigo series will come from teams Camp and Morgan. It's Dennis Camp. Starks and Pugh. Is that Kyle Starks and Steve Pugh? Condon and Phillips. Interesting. Dennis Camp, S. Morgan. That's the... Yeah, okay. Kyle Stark, Steve Pugh, Chris Condon, and Jake Phillips. All right. Sounds solid to me. Sounds like a solid lineup. I thought Vertigo was renamed to Black Label. It was, and then it wasn't quite working. So they have since announced a few months ago that Vertigo was coming back, and they've since rebranded James Tynan's Nice House by the Sea as Vertigo. William with an RIP for Peter David. Eddie says, anything camp, and I am there for. Me too, brother. Me too. 100%. 100%. Another thing I want to talk about. Silhouette says Black Label will be all DC related. Vertigo will be creator owned. Yeah, that's one of the big things. Silhouette, thank you for pointing that out. Black Label, I guess, is still going to be doing few and far between books. Like they just announced the one by W. Maxwell Prince and Chris O'Halloran and Martin Marazzo. The team behind Ice Cream Man will be doing a Superman Black Label book called Superman Kryptonite Spectrum. I'm very, very excited for that. And so, yeah, the DC ones will continue on with DC, but Vertigo will go back to what it eventually morphed into, kind of like creator-owned books distributed by DC for mature readers. Silhouette says, I'm excited for the Rom V Vertigo comic that Rom keeps hinting at. Yeah, Rom V on a Vertigo book would absolutely slap. Eddie says that Ice Cream Man's Superman book is going to be so good. I agree. I'm very excited. And I'm very excited, and I can't wait to have a bunch of people buy the first issue and not like it. Because that will happen. A lot of people will be like, this art sucks. The story makes no sense. And the rest of us are going to be like, you fools, it's brilliant. You're a fool, Charles. All right, we got any wrestling fans? I just want to talk about wrestling real quick. Last night was the Saturday night main event. Had a lot of fun with it. See, the cool thing is, I'm not a official wrestling commentator or a wrestling critic or anything like that. I just got back into this shit last December, and I'm enjoying being back into it. So I get to be a mark. I get to just have fun. I don't have to like criticize it and try to pull it apart and all that kind of shit. So I'm just gonna say this: Saturday night's main event was fun as shit, man. I loved it. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, the tag team match with Sami Zayn and CM Punk was fucking dope. That was a dope match, and I love the reveal of the third man. Do I know who Bronson Reed is? No, but I got homies that were like cluing me in, and then I immediately got on YouTube and started watching shit. So I'm all excited, right? Then we had, I don't know if this is the right order, we had the Chelsea Green Vega match. That was a weak match. There was a lot of botches in that one, and Chelsea got her nose busted, maybe broken, I think. That was a whack match. That really was. All right, then we got John Cena, R-Truth. It cracked us up when R-Truth came out to John Cena's fucking music with John Cena gear, doing the whole John Cena bit, used his moves against him. I loved it. There was that moment where he was teasing beating R-Truth in the head with the belt, and then he didn't. And he looked sad. And they had me for a moment, but god damn it, it was just all bullshit. It was all bullshit. But I liked that match a lot. That was the moment where I watched it with Jelani and Brooks in our friend house, and we had so much fun, and that was the moment that we got our biggest pop. We had so much fun with that. Then there was the steel cage match, Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I thought it was a fine match for what it was. A lot of people criticizing Damian for walking out, but I actually thought that was kind of cold, that he walked the fuck out. Like, beat the shit out of Drew McIntyre, left him for dead, and walked out. I actually liked that. I did, to be honest. Then you had the main event, Jey Uso, yeet, against Logan Paul. Match itself was fine. There was interference. John Cena comes out. And then they had me fucking fooled for a second. I was like, is John Cena about to cost Jey Uso this title? And it's going to Logan Paul? Are you good? Are you fucking serious? Get the fuck out of here. And then Cody Rhodes shows up for the first time since WrestleMania. Makes his big thing. And now there's a tag team match between Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. And then John Cena and Logan Paul at Money in the Bank in 2 weeks. And you know what? I'm cool with that. So I liked it. Yeah. Too many commercials? Yes. It's on network TV. It's on NBC. So yeah, a lot of commercials. 5 matches, 2 hours, a lot of fucking commercials. I can complain about that just like everybody else. But it is what it is. I had fun with it. It was fun. I liked having an extra couple hours of wrestling this week. I enjoyed it overall. So that's my thoughts on Saturday night's main event. Silhouette says, I feel like DC is on a generational run or something. They definitely are. They've been on that way for a little bit, especially since Dark Crisis. One of the big focus that Josh Williamson wanted to put into Dark Crisis was the focus on legacy and how legacy is what drives DC more than anybody. Marvel's got legacy characters, but a lot of them are kind of newer and fresher and just derivatives. Same thing with some of the DC legacy characters. There's a bunch of Green Lanterns, there's a bunch of Flashes, there's a bunch of super people, a bunch of bad people. I get it. It's the same thing. But that idea of legacy has been cooked and baked into DC for decades and decades. So it is something I think that they do well. Sanji says, R-Truth was hilarious. Do that look he gave Cena too? Like, bro, you gonna hit me with that? Broke my heart, man. Broke my fucking heart. I agree with you, Eddie. ICM needs to be appreciated by more. That's Ice Cream Man. I 100% agree with you. Sanji says, Cody Rhodes returns from the dead. Dante says, I'm a pro wrestler. Hell yeah, I got some pro wrestling homies. Drew's taking a break. He's been wrestling hurt. Yep, heard about that. He's going to be written off TV for a minute. Eddie says, they need a WWE comic so I can make sense of all this. You know, they try to do this. They tried it not too long ago at Boom. They've tried it in the past. Chaos had some. I have the Rock Chaos comic somewhere in this pile of a collection right over there. Sanji says, WWE is just shonen manga in real life. And I mean that in the best way. Well, I took it in the best way. So, hell yeah, I agree with that. Cheers. Station. All right. As requested and as demanded, after last week, I have watched the next 2 episodes of Breaking Bad. So I'm in season 1 of Breaking Bad. I've watched episode 4 and I've watched episode 5. I watched them both this afternoon, and I will say this, I liked them better than episode 3. So after seeing 4 and 5, I realized that we are taking some time to build into Walter and this kid cooking meth together. And granted, this story needed that room because there are some emotional beats to the story. And they start getting back to the weight of that in episodes 4 and 5. I'm kind of reviewing these together. But if I can remember it correctly, episode 4 is the one where who is the kid who's helping Walter with all the mess stuff? Is it Jesse? What's his name? Somebody please let me know the name. I think it's Jesse, but I could be wrong. But he starts tripping, freaking out. He goes back to his parents' house, right? All the while, we're dealing with the after effects of Walt revealing to his wife and family now that Jesse, thank you, Anthony, Jesse Pinkman, thank you, Dungeon Crawler Carl, thank you, Billy Power Max, thank you all. So Jesse is gone back to his parents' house, and one thing about that episode I really thought was fucking cool was his younger brother, who's this like, honestly, if I was that kid's age, I would hate this fucking kid. He's like pressured by his parents, obviously. And episodes 4 and 5 so far are showing the subtlety of Breaking Bad. And I'm starting to dig on that, right? So Jesse's younger brother is this like straight A student, piccolo, oboe player, he plays soccer, does all this kind of, like, does everything the best, but he's under pressure too, right? And Jesse's there, and his parents have this whole talk. They find a joint, right? They kick him out. But the joint's not his. It's the little fucking brother's. I liked that. That was like a subtle way to like tell this young kid's story without being so obvious about it, right? So I thought that was cool. At that same time, they're at a cookout, and I'm glad that they called it a cookout. Because a lot of people would call that a barbecue, but a bunch of people in a suburban backyard grilling burgers and chicken, that's a cookout. It's not a barbecue. My family always called it barbecues too. And I'm like, it's a cookout. It's a cookout. And in the show, they actually called it a cookout or like that. Anyway, comes out, Walt has cancer, all this stuff. He's refusing treatment. She's trying to find treatment. There's the whole storyline that's being developed about his old buddy who started this company and got super rich. And then at the end of episode 5, you find out that it might be because dude's wife and Walter used to be together. So that's interesting. That's more subtle, subtextual storytelling that I like. That's obvious, but at the same time, not overly obvious. Like any other show, he would have shown up to the fucking dinner party or the birthday party, right, of his buddy, Elliot or whatever. And they would have had this whole fucking 5-minute scene beforehand where his wife was talking, oh, you know, how it's been forever since we've seen this. Oh, yeah, we were going to go into business together and blah, blah. Well, you know, then he married your girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. They would already laid all that out. But the fact to let us as the audience kind of feel that and discover that on our own, I really like that. You really get deep into Walt's story, especially, I think this episode 5 is the one where they have like the intervention or whatever. I liked that. I thought that was very powerful, especially some of the stuff developing with the son. I had my first laugh out loud moment, and it was when Walter's brother-in-law finds out that Walter's been smoking weed, and he just laughs. He goes, didn't think he had it in him. That shit cracked me up for some reason. So that was my first laugh out loud moment. Jesse gets this doofy ass fucking buddy to help cook some meth, but he can't get it quite right. Walter refuses to accept the aid of his buddy who apparently fucked him over for his ex-girlfriend or whatever. So he needs money. Jesse wants to be able to cook this brilliant meth again in some like form or fashion. And so they come back together at the end, and now we're good to go. There's only 2 more episodes in season 1. There's only 2 more episodes in season 1. So y'all have done a lot of love already, and we appreciate the super chat. So this is what we're going to do. Any super chat tonight. Any super chat at all. From $1 and up, because I think you can only do $1 increments. Any super chat, we're going to finish season 1 of Breaking Bad, and then we're probably going to keep going on. Because right now it's starting to pull me in. Starting to pull me in. Pete says, Gray Matter is such a dope episode. So many story details in the character's clothing. Yes, it's Jesse. Hell yeah. And CTA, everybody knows Jesse but me. Thank you, Billy. And then he says, dude played Jethro Tull. Yeah, and he's like, what, do you play the flute? And he goes, it's a piccolo. He's like, dude, play some Jethro Tull. That shit was cracking me up. Eddie says, so happy you're watching the show now. Dipping out for dinner, I will check out the VOD station on. Well, hell yeah. Nice for you. Thank you for being here, Eddie. Billy says, I told Walter not to watch all that Rockin' Robbie. That's how he got sick. Jesus. Robbie, what do you think of Punisher Red Band? I think Punisher Red Band is set up to be a solid book. Frank Castle is back. There's going to be that amnesia storyline, which is kind of a trope and kind of done and played with. But you know what? As long as they don't keep it going for too long, it will be okay. But Benjamin Percy, I think, is a fine writer. The artist is the artist who's recently teamed up with Benjamin Percy on Wolverine. Benjamin Percy's been doing some solid work right now. Predator versus Spider-Man. Pretty fucking dope, right? His Wolverine stuff's been decent, you know? So, yeah, I think he'll be fine. So I'm excited to check it out. What do you think, Billy? I'm curious. At least Frank's back, right? Starscream Station, what is up, my man? 90s Arcade says, Breaking Bad is in my top 5 shows of all time. So fucking good. All right. But yeah, I'm excited for the Punisher book. We could all use some more Frank Castle in our lives. Robbie, who's your favorite magic user in DC and why? It's Zatanna. Why? I'm a sucker for fishnets and the top hat. That is why. I don't know. I just really like Zatanna. I think Zatanna's a very, very cool character. Haven't been vibing on this new series as much as I had the last one. But I really like the Paul Dini Zatanna run. But Zatanna's a really cool character. And yeah, I think she's pretty fucking... I like that outfit. So, yeah. Just say I really like fishnets. So there you go. Outside of that, Constantine's fine. Constantine's okay, I guess. He doesn't wear fishnets, though. So. You know, Zatanna's a DC character. Believe it or not, DC's got books out this week. And I've read what I wanted to read, and now it's time for your official DC Sneak Peek. DC Sneak Peek. Got so excited, I said it too early. Let's grab some of these books. All right. First up, we got Mr. Terrific, issue number 1. Mr. Terrific, year 1, issue number 1. I really liked this book. I thought it was super solid. It's written by Al Letson. Not familiar with Al's work. Art is by Valentine Delandro and Marissa Luis on the coloring. Edwin Gallman does a little bit of a framing sequence. I loved this book. It does exactly what I needed it to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I read Jeff Johns' JSA run where we got introduced to this Mr. Terrific, and maybe he had shown up in something before. But all I knew about him was his wife had died. He was sad. He was a tech guy. He's like one of the smartest men in the world. And now he's a superhero. That was it. So this is a year 1 that goes past that point. So it starts and Michael Holt is already depressed. Hadn't gotten out of his house for like 2 years or some shit because his wife had died. So we're not retreading ground that at least I already knew. And now we're filling in some of the gaps. So we get him visited by, I think it's his brother, if I remember correctly. Could just be his friend, but I think it's his brother. But it's definitely a business partner. And they're working together on something. The dude's trying to motivate him to get out of bed. You get some early designs for some Mr. Terrific technology. I love the artwork here. The artwork is clean and concise, but at the same time, it has weight and thickness to it. And it feels anchored. So I really do like the artwork for that. But what I love about this book is it just wasn't retreading stuff we already knew. I feel like it's filling in gaps and giving us part of the story that we never had before that we really do deserve to tell. Obviously, Mr. Terrific is going to be in the new Superman movie. And this was a really solid comic. If I had to rate it out of 5, I'd give this a 4 ya digs. Then we got Peacemaker Presents Vigilante Eagly Double Feature Issue number 3. This is just big dumb fun. If you're a fan of the Peacemaker show, this is set in the continuity of the Peacemaker show. It's a double feature, so it's got a Vigilante story and it's got an Eagly story, which is really a Peacemaker story, but it's set in the continuity of the show. And though this book in this series has not had the heart of the show, it does have the humor of the show. The Vigilante story is great. illustrated by Mitch Gerrits. That's super solid. James Gunn is the co-writer or the story consultant on both of these. Tim Seeley on the Vigilante series and Rex Ogle on the Peacemaker bit. But Mitch Gerrits doing what Mitch Gerrits does. It's a vigilante story. It's silly. It's cheesy. But then the backup story, or the second part of the double feature, I should say, the Peacemaker Eagly story, really took a turn into exceptional ridiculousness in this issue. So I'm liking both sides of it. It doesn't have the heart of the show, but it does have the humor of the show. And if you like that show, you definitely should check it out. It's fun. I would give this out of 5 you digs, 3.5. Then we've got Green Lantern, issue number 23. An excellent issue of Green Lantern. I say this all the time about Jeremy Adams on Green Lantern. This is a incredibly consistent superhero comic book, right? In this issue, and Jeremy Adams is playing with a lot of things right now, right? But in Green Lantern, we're getting the Hal story, and in this issue, he has to go to hell. And we get Gnort coming back, and that's cool. But we also get Hal coming back up against the Spectre, and some interesting setup for the future of the Spectre. But there was a bit there where Jeff Johns was coming into DC, fresh and young, trying to figure out a way to save Hal Jordan and bring him back as a character and set him up potentially for a Green Lantern rebirth. And that's what happened. And I think before he even had the inclination that was ever going to happen, he bonded Hal Jordan's spirit to the Spectre. And that was an interesting run, and it was fine. But it's cool to see Jeremy Adams understand the continuity and play with it and build on stories that happened years and years, if not decades ago, right? Plus, you got the Kyle Rayner bit here with Superboy, Connor. Just some great space opera. Really cool stuff. Great artwork from Harmonico. If I had to rate this one out of 5, I'd give it a very enthusiastic 3.5 out of 5. Then we got Justice League Unlimited issue number 7. I was a bit harsh last week on Batman Superman World's Finest. I was saying, oh, Justice League Unlimited was this great book. It was such an expansive roster of the Justice League. Mark Waid had this cool idea. He built up this new threat of Inferno. It's been revealed that Inferno is just the Legion of Doom from the past, and now it's a crossover with World's Finest, and how crappy it was to kill the momentum of Justice League Unlimited with Batman Superman World's Finest crossovers and just a clunky kind of plotted out narrative. You know what? I wasn't too harsh. I fucking feel the exact same way about Justice League Unlimited issue number 7. The penultimate issue of We Are Yesterday. It's all right. Clunky. Clunky's the right word. I mean, there's some big moments here that should pop, but honestly, this issue 7 of this run, you have killed the momentum. And you're going to kill readership with this bullshit tactics of forced crossovers, an event crossover series that barely had any build-up. I don't know, it's just not working for me, and I would have rather had this book focus more into the all-in stuff. That being said, the Mr. Terrific stuff, even though it's set in Mr. Terrific Year 1, is tied in with the all-in stuff. So anyway, there you go. Then we got Superman issue number 26. It's the summer of Superman, even though summer is still like almost a month away. Anyway, Josh Williamson still doing a great job here of what Jeremy Adams is doing with Green Lantern, honoring, recognizing, and understanding the stories that came before and being able to use that as a foundation to build upon. And that's what they're doing here in Superman. The only problem here is the art is inconsistent. It's got Eddie Barrows at first. We're dealing with the aftermath of Lois losing her Superwoman powers. We knew it was going to happen. There's some interesting interludes here, but then all of a sudden the art changes from Eddie Barrows to another person, and you kind of lose the consistency of the artwork. You notice the homage to... It's a little bit of an homage, I think, right there to All-Star Superman. Anyway, Superman number 26 was a really solid story. Had a little bit of inconsistent artwork. Batman 160, Hush 2, Part 3. Oh, if I had to rate Superman, I'd give it a 3. 3 out of 5. Batman 160. So, you know, we've been recently, in the last 2 shows we've done, we did some revisiting on Batman Hush, the original, the first issue and the second issue. Third issue next time. Not tonight, though. So having read those and being like, you know what, maybe Robbie, maybe you're being a little bit too harsh on Hush. Well, I don't think I'm being too harsh on Hush 2. Hush 2 kind of sucks. It's not very good. It is very uneven, clunky, and wonky. 3 issues into the original Batman Hush, we're still building a deliberate story and a solid narrative. Here, there's so much going on. Jason Todd is teamed up with Hush. He's against Batman, trying to kill the Joker. There's some Gordon shit here. Riddler's involved. There's so much shit going on, it doesn't seem to make a lick of sense. It's all over the place. But the most disappointing thing is Jim Lee's artwork seems very sloppy. And the story structure feels very sloppy. Here's the thing. You put Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee back on Batman to do a sequel to Hush, you're going to boost some numbers. Hell yeah. In the middle of that story, they're going to relaunch with a new number 1 with Jorge Jimenez coming back and Matt Fraction doing it. There's a new costume. You're going to goose those numbers again with a new number 1. And then we're going to have Batman Hush 2 complete at some point next year. So you're going to goose the numbers again. That's fine. But what would really work is if you just told a good, solid, consistent Batman story with a solid creative team. Just do that. Do that and you're going to have people care. It's better to do that than to just try to boost numbers with cheap shit like this. Because that's what it feels like. It feels sloppy. It feels cheap. And I think we deserve better. If I had to rate that on a 5 scale, I would give it 2. Then we get Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 8. It's a pretty solid issue of Absolute Wonder Woman. Hayden Sherman is back on the artwork. That's always a welcome reprise to me in Absolute Wonder Woman. We are doing some good job. We're doing a good job here, Kelly Thompson is, with building out the world of this story. We have the first big story arc to introduce Absolute Wonder Woman and her world, and then we deepened her origins and her connections to Cersei, her mother, in the Absolute Universe in the last 2 issues. Now we're back to Gateway City, and we're back to building this new world for Wonder Woman in the thrust of the narrative of this story. And that's what we're doing here, and we're doing it well. We introduced the Absolute version of Veronica Cale, and I really like that character. It's from the Greg Rucka run. She's basically Wonder Woman's Lex Luthor, so that's cool to see her here. It's great to see Hayden Sherman come back. Great work with the compositions, the panel designs, and the page layouts. However, if I had to nitpick this just a little bit, it would be that there's not a big, giant, boisterous moment here. I feel like they needed to hit Arc 2, bang, like that. Have something big happen. Nothing big's happening. It's all some starting to get things percolating, and that's what's going on. We also get the Absolute version of Dr. Poison, which is a really interesting concept. I liked the issue a lot. I thought it was solid, but I needed another moment here. If I had to rate this out of 5, I'd give it a 3.5. And then we've got Absolute Martian Manhunter issue number 3, another ultra stellar issue of Absolute Martian Manhunter. Dennis Camp, Javier Rodriguez. The artwork is amazing. Martian Manhunter in the Absolute Universe is an ultra-terrestrial intelligence that is latched on to a detective named John Jones. So it's not John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, pretending to be a human. It's a human being possessed by an ultra-terrestrial, other-dimensional entity. And they're playing with that concept really cool. So some of the effects are bleeding into John's head. He is now trying to figure out, one day, randomly, 24 people burn 24 people alive at the same time. Why? The White Martian has been loosed on humanity. So now it's up to the Martian Mindhunter, or Mindfucker, I should say. The Martian Manhunter, or the Mindfucker, and John Jones to hunt down this White Martian. This is one of the first big chaotic things that this White Martian entity is doing. I love the way the story is told. It is challenging. It is fun. It's playing with concepts. It's playing with not just pushing the envelope of what a comic book can do, but pushing the envelope of what sci-fi and fantasy concepts can do in a comic book. And I love it. Javi Rodriguez's artwork is absolutely splendid. This was the best DC book I read all frickin' week. It's also, though, at the core about a family that's falling apart, a man losing himself, trying to pull himself back together. But in the midst of all of this, a really great reinterpretation and exploration on the concept of an extra or ultra-terrestrial intelligence coming in and bonding with the human. Really cool stuff. Not like Venom at all. Somebody says, just sounds like Venom. Nope, not at all. Really, really solid stuff. This is one of the best books DC has out right now. If I had to rate this out of 5, I'd give it 5. You digs. So let's recap. To recap, Mr. Terrific was a really, really solid year 1 story. I would recommend you check it out. Peacemaker Vigilante Eagly Special, super fun. Doesn't have the charm of the show, but it has the humor. Green Lantern, really solid stuff from Jeremy Adams. Justice League Unlimited is a little bit weak. Superman is solid, but the art's a bit inconsistent. Batman Hush 2, we deserve better than this. Absolute Wonder Woman could have had a bigger moment, but it starts building up the world for the remainder of the series, or the next phase of the series, pretty well. And Absolute Martian Manhunter was absolutely a mind-fucking awesome experience. And that has been your DC Sneak Peek. All right. Let's take a look at the chat. Southside Ronan says, Red Hulk has also been solid so far from Percy. I agree. Jeff Shaw's Benjamin Percy on the Red Hulk book's been pretty cool. Oh, I think the Jason Aaron run is awesome, Billy. Well, thank you, Dennis. Dennis says, I really enjoy watching your videos. Well, I appreciate it. I enjoy that you enjoy watching my videos. Fable is in the house. One collection down. What is up, my man? Dennis says, I also thought the new Venom series also sucked. Yeah, me too. That's why I don't read it anymore. If I don't like a book, I eventually drop it. Unless it's Spider-Man and I can make a bit out of it. What's up, the Name Changes? How you doing? Name Changes says, haven't seen the show, so I'll pass on Vigilantes. Probably the best. Hydra Asylum, what's up, Jay? Says, maybe you should stick to movie reviews, or was it comic reviews? What were you supposed to stick to again? I'm going to beat that dead horse like a drum. Love you, Robbie. Yeah, they said you should stick to comic book reviews because you know nothing about movies. That's what they were saying. What's better, Blank Check or Camp Nowhere? Blank Check. Eddie Von B, what is up? Pop, pop, boom, man. Pete says, I love the variant cover B for Martian Manhunter this week. Was that the Ian Bertram one? Fuck, I need to grab that. That might be potentially the cover of the week right there. Eddie Von B with Super Chat. Thank you so much, buddy. I need me some Hellboy. All right, with Eddie's Super Chat, we will finish Breaking Bad Season 1. Talk about it next time on Rockin Robbie Live. And right now, we're going to get us some... You want the Hellboy song, bro? You got it. Thank you so much. Yeah. Let me tell you about this little man I know. His name is Hellboy. He was sent to the earth some long time ago to save it or destroy. Brought to this earth by Rasputin, son of a demon and a nun who had a sex with a demon, but was raised by Professor Broom. Now he fights evil and monsters. Shit! Now he fights with a man who's a fish named Abe. Now he fights with a fire starter named Liz and an ectoplasmic mess named Johan. BPRD. Ow! right, Eddie, thank you so much for the super chat. It really does literally help keep the lights on here. So thank you so much for helping contribute to the PCP utility bill. Anyway, we are taking a quick break. When we come back, we got more fun tonight, including Marvel in the 90s, a little bit of show and tell, and whatever else you want to talk about. We'll be right back here on Rockin' Robbie Live.
When I was a kid, we moved in right next to the neighborhood, and we walked there, like, literally I was like 11 or maybe younger than 11.
All right, we are on our way to the next place.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we see him?
I think it's him. He's falling down. I think it's left.
That's not nope, that's not him.
Damn it. God, yeah, and it was one of those ones that, you know, it's like fucking loud.
Little bastards.
And we go down there and it's pitch black and there's no lights at all. Just this big alcove, and above there are like trees and like high areas back there that you can walk up to if you know how to get there.
Oh, it wasn't responding the way it was the last time.
Yeah.
Oh no, they hated it this time. Yeah. But that's the thing, it's experimentation. Trying out. Like, I'm not judging you, brother, right?
It's like
It was just weird when you were like, hold up.
Close Encounters.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm terrified of all ghost stuff, even though I don't believe in anything. But we're walking around and we hear loud as day. We hear, ah! Just one loud, piercing scream from the trees, and I immediately was like, I wanna go, 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 can we go, I wanna go, I wanna go, can we go, I wanna go, I wanna go.
Trying to do the photo shoot today. No Robbie, no Blake. May not happen. We'll see. Basic story of the house here. happened to be the last one on it, found an orange ball after that orange orb encounter.
Say that again. I wasn't recording. I'm so serious.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious, y'all.
Are you really?
I am now. I'm so serious.
Were you recording any of it?
No, none of that.
I told the orange ball sigil story.
He did.
I know you did, and I told you. I'm so sorry I didn't film any of that.
How do we feel about what happened?
I don't want to go home tonight.
Let me know. You want to
Yeah, let me see.
where's your
What do I
shot?
Try not to get a customer here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Come up to like Trevor, like right up in this little section right here.
Hey man, just get you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rockin Robbie Live here on Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host, Rockin Robbie Billups. We've had a great show already tonight. We've been talking about some really fun stuff, including last night's Saturday Night main event. Talk a little bit about Breaking Bad, my journey through season 1 of Breaking Bad, which has now been funded all the way through season 1. Also, R.I.P. to Peter David. We chatted a little bit about that. Other things here and there, because this show is driven, fueled, if you will, by your questions, your thoughts, your comments, and your concerns. What do you want to chat about? Get it in right now. We're here for the second act of Rockin Robbie Live. Coming up, we got Show and Tell, and we got Marvel in the 90s, but whatever else you want to chat about, that's what drives the show. You can find podcasts and more at popculturephilosophers.com. You should follow Pop Culture Philosophers on Facebook and on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, join the PCP Army. That's the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. You can follow me on X at the Rockin Robbie, and you can help support the channel over at patreon.com/PCP, like these fine PCP patrons right there, or with the super chat, which we just had a super chat come through before we took the break, so I'll address that in just a second. You can also support us just by liking, sharing, subscribing, being involved in the conversation. All right, tomorrow night on PCP Movie Night, we continue Crew's Choice and conclude Anime with Ninja Scroll. That's Jelani's pick. We'll be talking about Ninja Scroll tomorrow night on PCP Movie Night at 8 p.m. Central Time. All right, Epsilon Semi-Moron, this one's for you. We do appreciate the super chats. Like I said, it really does help us out a lot here. Y'all are the best. You continue to be the best, so station. How y'all doing? Epsilon, this is for you. Let me tell you about this little man I know. His name is Hellboy. He was sent to the earth some long time ago to save it or destroy. Brought to this earth by Rasputin, son of a demon and a nana who had a sex with the demon, but was raised by Professor Broom. Now he fights evil and monsters. Shit! Now he fights with a man who's a fish named Abe. Now he fights with a fire starter named Liz and an ectoplasmic mess named Johann. BPRD. All right, we really do appreciate the super chat. Epsilon Semi-Moron, who says, I'm really enjoying the last 2 issues of Wonder Woman. 2-issue story, Tom King, Gilliam March. I didn't like the first issue. I did enjoy the second issue. All in all, not my favorite part of Tom King's Wonder Woman run. I'm very much looking forward to the next issue, which I think is 22, to kind of get the more long-term narrative going again. However, that last issue made up for a little bit of my discrepancies or problems with the first issue. So, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Epsilon also says, that's regular Wonder Woman. Absolute is great also. Yeah, it really, really is. Fable's smoking out. We got John Stout in the house. I've been catching bits and pieces of the show, but I can finally be able to sit down and watch. Well, glad to have you here, John. What do you want to chat about? 90s Arcade says, thoughts on the Superman and Lois TV show. Just finished watching the final season last night. I have no thoughts because I haven't seen it. I dropped out of all CW and CW related shows, the Arrowverse and the extended Arrowverse, like Flash season 3, Arrow season 4 or something like that. Like I've been done. I haven't gone back. I hear that the Superman and Lois show is really good. I'm just now watching Breaking Bad. So I don't know when I'll get to Superman and Lois, but I keep hearing that it's good. And if Jay is still here, Jay is one of the biggest super fans I know. Jay, are you here? Let us know what you think about Superman and Lois. You know what? Smart dudes know when to throw around to smarter dudes. That's what I'm saying. And anybody else that's watched it, what do you think? We got Evil Face Bad in the house with the station, dudes. Nice to have you here, bro. Robbie, make your own Justice League squad. Who makes the cut? Bro, I'm going to be so just obvious and normy, man. It's the big 7, dude. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter. Did I miss somebody? 3, 4, 5, 6. Aquaman. That's my Justice Squad. There you go. Grant Morrison did that. And then expanded beyond that. But to me, that's the Justice League. That's the 7 I want there. Amen. Evil Face Bat says, Batman and Wonder Woman must solve a murder. Cool. Well, murder of a god. Dark Fizzo says, did you watch the new Daredevil? Thoughts on Bernthal's Punisher? I have not watched the new Daredevil. I haven't watched Born Again. My interest in Marvel products, as far as movies and TV shows go, has waned significantly over the years. I do love Daredevil Season 1, and I like Season 2. I never saw Season 3, and I've never watched this new one, which some would consider Season 4. So yeah, I'm behind on that, man. I'm not really up to date on my TV shows at all. I'm not really a TV show guy. That being said, the little bit of Bernthal's Punisher that I did get, that I've seen, is good. I haven't seen the Bernthal Punisher show, so I don't really have many thoughts. I'm sorry. It never fails. I always get asked about like modern TV shows, and I'm like, meanwhile, like House of the Dragon, I'm on top of. Jay says, loved it. Talking about Superman and Lois. Loved it. Think of it as an Elseworld story. Tyler Hoechlin has become my favorite on-screen Superman Clark of the 2000s. Oh, okay. More so than Brandon Ruth. R. Ruth, B. Ruth. Hey, Scotty's here. S. Von 82. What is up, my man? The man keeping the nasty and nerd. I love him. My man Scotty. Go check out Scotty's channel, S. Von 82. If nobody subbed up, please sub up. Somebody throw a channel out. And meanwhile, boom, S. Vaughn, you now have a blue wrench. There you go. Hot damn! Fuck it, it's been a while since we've done this either. Jay, guess what? Hot damn, you got a blue wrench. Boom, boom, boom. You never know when the blue wrenches are getting thrown out, but I just gave them out. Jay, Scotty, welcome into the PCP Blue Wrench crew, everybody. Station. Speaking of blue wrenches, we got Dr. Doom's fan club in the house. Stu! How you doing, my man? Station gang, Station Robbie. Hope you are doing well, brother. I'm doing great. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you stopping in. Appreciate you stopping in. Look, Jay, it's nice to have that blue wrench next to your name. Doesn't make you feel important, man. Don't worry, as easily as it was given, it can be taken away. But that's what happens when you say nice things about my growly voice. Yo, we got the artist formerly known as Jesse. Say what? Up in the house. How you doing? Dr. Doom's fan club. Stu says, welcome new blue wrenches. All it means is more hazing. You're welcome. Yeah. You're not the fucking rookie anymore, Stu. Look at that. It's great. Eddie Von B says, at the end of the day, I just want all the fans to be winners. Fable says, don't I know it, Stu? Choco's 26 in the house. Station. You missed the DC sneak peek, but don't worry. We just wrapped it up. You can check it on the rewind, man. Good to see you here. Good to see all you beautiful people out there in the chat tonight. Robbie, who makes your Legion of Doom squad then? All right, well, here's the thing. That's a little bit tougher. But if, in my perfect world, there are 7 members of the Justice League, and it's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman. Yeah, that's 7. Then my Legion of Doom would be 7 members and the direct opposite. So it'd be Lex Luthor, obviously. It would be Joker. It would be Cheetah. It would be Sinestro. It would be Captain Cold. It would be Black Manta. Yeah, I'm going challenge the Super Friends. I'm going challenge the Super Friends. But here's the thing. Challenge Super Friends, but a little bit different. So Scott Snyder's run of Justice League, which is right in between Dark Knight's Metal and Dark Knight's Death Metal, right? Or, yeah, Death Metal. That Justice League run is great to me because that is Justice League and the Legion of Doom, and I love that shit. But in that run, they had Grodd over Captain Cold, but I would go Captain Cold because to me, when I think of Flash, his arch nemesis is Captain Cold. I don't think Reverse Flash is a Legion of Doom member, but I would put Captain Cold in there. However, we got a 7th spot. Who's Martian Manhunter's arch enemy? Maybe you can think of like a White Martian or some shit, but honestly, there's nothing that sticks out that would work for me in a Legion of Doom capability. Therefore, we got to go back to the original Legion of Doom in the Challenge of the Super Friends. Who's there that's represented that's not represented yet? Toy Man? No. Bizarro? Maybe, but not really. Gorilla Grodd, which was in the Scott Snyder Legion of Doom. Gorilla Grodd would be a great antithesis to Martian Manhunter. So Grodd is on the list. Because even though Gorilla Grodd is a Flash villain, that would be a great counterpart to Martian Manhunter. But going back to the original Solomon Grundy, no, not really. Scarecrow, no. Riddler, no. Who else would I want to put there? Honestly, who I would want to put there is Brainiac. So the 7th spot either goes to Gorilla Grodd or Brainiac. What do y'all think? It wouldn't. What's up, Brian? But it wouldn't be Vandal for me. Flash's arch nemesis would be Reverse Flash, maybe, but I don't see Reverse Flash as Legion of Doom material, like I was saying. Flash is speed, movement. What is Cold? Cold is stagnation, frozen, lack of movement. That's why I think Captain Cold is a great counter to Flash. But Lex Luthor to counter Superman, Joker to counter Batman, Cheetah and Wonder Woman, Sinestro GL, Captain Cold Flash, Black Manta over Ocean Master. Black Manta is the more threatening villain for Aquaman, also more likely than Ocean Master to team up with the Legion of Doom. But for the Martian Manhunter counter, it's either Grodd or Brainiac. And honestly, I'd want Brainiac being in there just because I want Luthor and Brainiac. So I might go Brainiac. Why doesn't Martian Manhunter have a main villain after all these years? Most likely because he hasn't had a significantly long run in years. He hasn't. There was a great, brilliant John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake run. A follow-up of sorts to their Spectre run. They had an amazing run on the Spectre that is about to be collected in an omnibus format. I would rather have it be collected in one of those paperback compendiums that Image and DC like to do. And I wish Marvel would get on the ball with that. $60 for like a giant thick fucking book. That's way better to me than $125, $150 for a hardcover. But that's just me. But I want a Spectre. I want that Spectre run collected like that. But anyway, their Martian Manhunter run was good. And they were trying to do that. But it's just, you don't have a consistency with the Martian Manhunter story to be able to develop a rogues gallery, much less an arch enemy. Firefly from Martian Manhunter, I get that because of the weakness of Flame, but I need something that's going to be comparable in power, or the antithesis. So that's why I'm leaning Brainiac, because Martian Manhunter to me would represent a balance of, yeah, he's got the telepathic powers, and Gorilla Grodd would be a good counter to that. However, and yes, he's got the weakness to Flame, but Martian Manhunter to me is the heart of the Justice League, right? He is the heart of the Justice League. Brainiac would be a great antithesis to that because he is cold, robotic, calculating. I feel like Jean is more connected and rooted and grounded, and Brainiac is more cold and calculating. So yeah, my Legion of Doom would be Luthor, Joker, Cheetah, Sinestro, Captain Cold, Black Manta, and Brainiac. Boom. There you go. Toy Man. The fuck out of here with that. But that was a good question. That was fun. I enjoyed that very much. Fucking Scotty came in and bounced out. Didn't even realize he got a blue wrench. Ah, fuck it. I'll take it from him. We'll do it again. I'm just kidding. He'll show up next time and be like, I got a blue wrench on Rockin Robbie's channel? Fuck, I hate that guy. Why would he do that? You don't believe me, it's true. It's true. It's really true. All right. So the last couple of shows, we've been doing Marvel in the 90s and DC in the oddies. We've been doing DC in the oddies, going through the Batman Hush run, issue by issue. But I can't keep up the pace of doing both comics for every episode, right? Like today, I was kind of truncated on time. And I didn't even know if we were going to get it in. But you know what? We got it in. So we're doing it. But from this point forward, we're alternating between our Marvel in the 90s and our Batman Hush coverage. So tonight, we're not talking about Batman Hush, but the next Rockin Robbie Live, we'll talk about Batman Hush. Then we'll get back to this because we're going through a little bit of a run here on Wolverine. Covered a lot of Wolverine on Marvel in the 90s. All right, getting ready for the bit. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so obnoxious. No wonder this channel doesn't grow as much as people think it should. Probably because you're a jackass, Robbie. Lordy. Sorry, I'm just getting ready. All right, it's time to go back. How far back in time to the 90s with your favorite segment? It's time for Marvel in the 90s. And tonight we're talking about Wolverine 135. That's right, we're going through the Erik Larsen run on Wolverine. We've talked about this. This run is from late 98 through 1999. Erik Larsen had come back to Marvel. He did Wolverine. He did some work on Fantastic Four. He did a Nova series. And I don't know, they came across my desk and I had this nostalgic tinge. And I said, let's go through the Erik Larsen, Jeff Matsuda run of Wolverine. So that's what we're doing. This is the third part of their initial arc. It's issue 135. Notice up there in the corner box, it says late February, issue 135. That will be important information as we continue this discussion. All right, first of all, the cover by Jeff Matsuda. I like the cover. It's a dynamic cover. I love Wolverine's face. When I was younger, I didn't like this run. I didn't like Erik Larsen. I didn't understand the brilliancy of Savage Dragon at that time. And I definitely wasn't liking Jeff Matsuda's artwork. I would not have even liked this cover. However, I do like this cover. I do think there is emotion, and even in the midst of a fluid, inconceivable, dynamic kind of angle and perspective, I love this Wolverine jaw, those bony claws curving out forward like that. This story is taking Wolverine from the earth, building him up as a very street level hero, and taking him out into space. And in this issue, we go from bad to worse. All right, so Jason Wright is on the coloring, Jonathan Sabal on the inking, Richard Starkings and EM of Comic Craft on the lettering. Bob Harris, of course, with the editor-in-chief. Mark Powers with the editor. They ran X-Men Comics for a very, very long time. All right. When we last left Wolverine, he had been taken over by an alien entity who was able to swap bodies. What's her name? Is it Lyra? Bear with me as I'm trying to figure out her name. Yeah, I should have written this down. Aria. Should I cut here? Maybe I will. So Aria, this alien intelligence, has taken over Logan's body. So she shows up while Wolverine's shooting pool with Warbird. They get a business call. Warbird is drunk. They're dealing with this stuff, this spilling over from Kurt Busiek's Avengers run. And this alien entity, Aria, has escaped a prison planet, right? And she's come to Earth hijacking somebody else's body. She hijacks Logan's body, and in order to test him out, the legendary Wolverine, she sought him out, but she wanted to test his skill. And what she did was go up against every hero who showed up. That was the last issue. But here we got Wolverine on the ship waking up, and he has this dialogue with Arya mentally. And that's what happens through most of the issue. He's all like, all you had to do was ask for help. You want to save a bunch of people on this prison planet? I'll do that. You didn't need to hijack my body and cause me to cause all kinds of pain and problems to my friends down on Earth. But she don't care. She doesn't care at all. Wolverine's like, where are we at? She's like, we're in space. We're near our destination. Wolverine gets flabbergasted because he sees this giant space station that is described this way. Such is the awe-inspiring spectacle of prison world, well hidden amid the vastness of space and protected by complex and nigh impenetrable defense systems. Its mind-numbing size makes the fact that it was crafted by mortal hands all the more unfathomable. It's difficult to tell where it begins or where it ends. And peering out from the confines of the ship, Wolverine suddenly can't help but feel as insignificant as a mote of dust. There's one problem. The splash page doesn't quite nail that description, does it? It really doesn't. This is supposed to be something giant and big. Think back to the Warren Ellis, Brian Hitch Authority run. We did a Comics Revisited on that. Look it up if you haven't checked that one out. But there are moments in there where big feels big and epic and giant in scale. This one doesn't quite work. This is supposed to be something that makes Wolverine, who's been in space before, he's fought in the Dark Phoenix saga, he's fought the Shi'ar, he's been out there. This is supposed to make him feel like a mote, a speck in the face of the cosmos. This image is not quite selling it. This prison planet, by the way, is the home of the Collector. The Collector is who Arya escaped from. He's talking to his minions. There's some human there on the ship with them. Somebody who's mutated. Go find him. Bring me back my property. We got some wonky artwork here. I was not a fan of Jeff Matsuda when I was younger reading this, but that first issue of this run, I stuck up for Jeff Matsuda. Last week, I said it felt rushed. This one feels even more rushed. It really does. Next page, Wolverine and Arya, they board the ship, right? They get stuck in a tractor beam. They get pulled in. These aliens are trying to go in there and take out Wolverine for the Collector and get Arya back. She's talking and explaining all this. There's some explosions. Boom, 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 boom. A lot of talking. Some decent artwork there, but it's a little bit rushed. It's just taking some shortcuts. Then we get more. It's just this whole issue feels like it's a non-issue. It feels like this could have been done in 5 pages. Basically, they board the ship and they come up against some problems. That's what's going on here. But as they're looking for Wolverine, Wolverine gets one over them and comes up from behind them, and they start attacking. Wolverine starts attacking. Artwork here with the coloring. The coloring's been fine on the series so far, but in this issue in particular, the yellow really doesn't work with the rest. I don't know. Maybe it looks fine on the screen, but in print, right in front of me, the yellow just kind of feels a bit sickly. Now, there are some great Wolverine poses here, and I did speculate that maybe Eric Larsen's doing some thumbnail work here, but at the same time, the panel design isn't quite what I think Larsen would do at this time, but he definitely, I guess because he's writing it and he's probably, I don't know if he's writing this Marvel method or if he's doing full script, but it feels like an Eric Larsen pace, and it's hard for me to understand why that would come through in a plot first kind of story to Jeff Matsuda. But then again, I don't want to discredit Jeff Matsuda because he's not that bad, right? But he comes up against some of the security forces of this ship, and then Arya just disappears. He can't tell if she's in his head anymore or if she's taken over another one of these dudes. Meanwhile, the Collector has this Guardian. This dude looks super familiar to me, and I don't know where from. I feel like it's very much like almost like a Kirby type design. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments or in the chat. But Collector here, and this is another one of those rushed, wonky pages that does not work for me. But the Collector's like, I'm going to get what I want. Meanwhile, he's got the Starjammers captive as well. So this is some setup for what's to come in a future issue, but Corsair and what's her name? Hepzibah and Chode and all those dudes, the Starjammers are also captured, and they're like, oh, is it true? Is Wolverine here? Maybe that gives us some hope because they're imprisoned as well. All right. Meanwhile, the henchmen, the guards, the security forces, they're trying to find Wolverine. He's hidden in the ventilation shafts, which is an action movie trope, but it works for Wolverine. This is one of those pages where I like some of the work on Wolverine. I like the short, stubby, crouched over Wolverine in that first panel. That's something I think Jeff Matsuda does really, really well. I do think the coloring is a little bit off here. I also do hate that, oh, let's do 3 panels and waste a lot of space, but put a brown panel behind it so it seems like we're not. The composition is still fine enough, but it starts feeling sloppy, and it gets into here. There's a lot of negative space that's not being used that's kind of wasted, right? And we just get Wolverine on a space station going up against some security guards. He's trying to figure out what happened to Arya. Is she still possessing him? Is she possessing one of these other dudes? They're crazy aliens. There's some cool designs. And as Jeff Matsuda has a prolific career in animation and design work, and no lie, I completely understand why. But Wolverine has to go up against these dudes regardless of, even though he thinks Arya might be one of them, a decent enough fighting scene, and the pace is there and the layouts are fine, but these are some of the pages that really feel like Eric Larson thumbed some of these out, right? But even if you look at that first panel right there, yeah, you got a reverse silhouette of Wolverine slashing this dude, but it's very chunky and not in the good Jeff Matsuda chunky kind of way. So I don't know. Wolverine's just cutting through the competition, and then all of a sudden he gets a reveal of who the actual person that Arya has been taking over, right? This other alien shows up, got Wolverine dead to rights. I love that smirk on Wolverine's face. Turns out it's Arya. They do another reverse silhouette down there. What is this, fucking Garfield? And then the big henchman of the Collector shows up at the end with these like insect alien droid things, and they're going to wreck ass. And that's Wolverine 135. So I will want to point out this one bit earlier in the issue where Controller I do believe, the Collector does say take him alive when they go after Wolverine, right? But right there, the entity that Arya takes over says stop him, kill him. Oh, never mind. I thought it said stop, don't kill him. Never mind. I don't know when the switch happened. But the story's okay. Wolverine infiltrates a space station. I feel like this could have been a half of an issue, but they gave it an entire issue, and the artwork feels kind of sparse, and the story even feels a bit sparse. Now, why might that be? I mentioned earlier that if you look at the cover of this issue, that you will see it says late February, issue 135. So what that means is that this book was bi-weekly, which meant it came out twice a month, at least during this time. And I don't know if it was for this entire series. I have to go look at the future issues that we'll be covering. But right there, late February. That means 2 issues a month, yet it's still Jeff Matsuda on the artwork. No artist could do this today. Now, they kayfabe it, because they will have like Amazing Spider-Man come out twice a month. Pepe Larraz is doing 2 issues a month. But by the time we get done with 5 or 6 issues, he's got to be off for like 6 issues, you know? So it's not quite the same. But at the same time, the problem with that is that the artwork took a stark, sharp decline from issue 1, or I should say 133 to 134, and now into 135. The artwork is weaker. We've gotten rid of the flip thing. We got a Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles ad right there. The printing is good. Same like I've said before, they knew how to color these books back in the day. They were really figuring it out, how to do this digital coloring. The yellow doesn't work, or doesn't bother me so much in these early pages. It's later on. Once again, a Blade VHS and DVD ad, which is super freaking dope. I love this ad right there. More colorful than the food in the lunchroom. Game Boy Color. When the Game Boy Color meant actual color. But that could have been a bigger, more expansive moment. Some clunky bits there with the collector. It's all right. I mean, Jeff Matsuda is not a bad artist. And like I said, he's had a ton of success with animation and character development and things like that. He worked on The Batman, which I think was a really cool series. A lot of people didn't like those character designs, but I really did. But here's like the yellow just not working. The yellow's a little bit too pale, a little bit too sickly for me. There are moments where the art works. Some kind of game ad right there. But there's a lot of just, it's a sparse script. Not a lot happens in this issue. And the artwork kind of fudges around it a little bit. And I think this is part of the schedule. We got to get these out 2 times a month for the time being. And it just doesn't quite work. And the story is padded. And the artwork is the opposite of padded. It's a little bit too loose. And honestly, even in these days, you didn't have stuff with sparse backgrounds as much as you did here. But all in all, it was still a decent reading experience. I am very much enjoying going through the Eric Larson run. It does have an energy to it. It does kind of move pretty quickly and briskly. So I appreciate that. It just doesn't feel like it quite gets the job done that needs to be done in one chunk of an issue. Maybe they realized that, and maybe that's why it was bi-month or bi-weekly. Maybe they already knew that, and maybe because of the schedule is the reason why it was the way it was. But this has been the weaker issue so far. I do want to point this out. We're celebrating the 35th anniversary of the X-Men. Joe Kelly, Steven Seagal were on the X-Men at that era. I'm a big fan of the X-Men books at this time. We might have to cover those in the future here on Marvel in the 90s. But all in all, Wolverine 135, the weakest of the 3 issues so far that we've covered from the Eric Larson Wolverine run. If I had to rate this out of 5 you digs, I would give it a 2.5. I wanted more, but I expected no less. Does that make sense? Anyway, this has been your edition of Marvel in the 90s. Let me know what you think in the chat. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Once again, this has been Marvel in the 90s. All right, we're rolling on through, y'all. How you doing? Pete says those layouts are dope. Yeah, some of them are. There's a lot of empty space in some of that art, though. Pete says, I had the Game Boy Advance. So did I. Had the Game Boy Color as well, and the original Game Boy. I would love to have them again. Damien is here. Sleepy Reader 666. Damien. I still am like, bruh, I'm so sorry. I had your Mark Spears Monsters Free Comic Book Day set aside with your address on it to send up to my shipping department, and it got covered up by some shit. I was cleaning my desk the other day and saw it. I'll get that shit shipped out this week. I'm going to throw something extra in there for you, man. Love you, brother. Love you. Love you. So, I'm sorry it's taken so long, bruh. Do you want me to send you a couple extras? I still got some. I can send you a couple extras in case there's anybody around you that needs it. Stu says, fucking love this spotlight on the Larson run. Well, I love that you love this spotlight on the Larson run. I really fucking do, Stu. I really do. I love... You and Eric surprise me sometimes with your knowledge of certain comics that I thought only I fucking knew about. So hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, before we wrap this bad boy up, we're going to get into some show and tell. And in show and tell tonight, I got a special treat for you. We got a bonus sneak peek. That's right. Because the latest Skybound Image compendium releases this week. And it's Transformers Compendium Volume 1. Look how huge this thing is. It feels comparable to the G.I. Joe one. But oh my god. It's huge. And what I love about these, this is $65. Comes out this week. There's a new cover by Daniel Warren Johnson. But then you have the retro cover. That's a DM exclusive, direct market exclusive. That's the original Bill Sienkiewicz cover to issue number 1. I have to get the original cover. Look at that spine. The original Transformers logo. Fucking dope. So this collects Transformers, the 1984 Marvel series, 1 through 46, and Headmasters 1 through 4. 50 issues in one ginormous collection, paperback, with that beautiful newsprint smell, or whatever becomes newsprint today. Honestly, even if you read at the beginning, you can open it up and read everything. There's not too much loss in the gutter down there. Even when you get to the middle, even when you get to the end, I like them. I haven't gone through one of these giant compendium paperbacks yet, though. After I go through this and the G.I. Joe one, and that's eventually something I want to do. Yeah, Marvel in the 90s or Marvel in the 80s. Let's go through Transformers again, right? Let's do it. Let's go through it issue by issue. And another thing I want to, in case you were wondering, because I was really wondering about this. Like, I know that in issue number 3, Spider-Man shows up. How do we, on the Image reprint, take care of it? Fuck it. We put Spider-Man in it. Spider-Man's right there. They don't do anything. I think there's special credit somewhere in the beginning that Spider-Man's owned by Marvel and all that shit. But y'all, 50 issues of old school Transformers in one form. And I know that they just crowdfunded the ultra hardcover editions, just like they did with the Joe ones. But y'all, I don't make that kind of money. So a $65, big chunky ass shit. This is one of the best values you're going to get in comic books this week. I highly encourage you to check it out. The Transformers Compendium Volume 1 from Image and Skybound. All right, my boy David, who runs Big Mix Vintage Video, who we love, he rents videos. He rents movies here in my town. He's a homie of mine. I've known him for like 25 years. Super cool dude. But he's always looking out. Last time I was there, he was like, yo, bro, you still need this? He found a copy of the Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith Karate Kid unopened. He found it, sold it to me for $5 because he knew that I needed to complete my collection because I had rented this one from him when we covered Karate Kid at the beginning of the year. Also, I just recently watched Dead Calm. I rented it from him on DVD because I had the Billy Zane panel and I wanted to watch this movie, which is one of his first breakout roles. It's a great movie. Sam Neill, Nicole Kidman, Billy Zane. This is a good movie. When he was out looking for shit for his store, he saw a copy of this. He knew I might be interested, so he pulled that one to me too. So he's like, yeah, bruh, $10, both of them are yours. So help me add to my collection. Thank you so much, David. I love you. So what about that spine? Isn't it just going to tear itself apart being that big? I don't know. It depends on how you read it. That's what I'm saying. I want to go through one of these to really be able to report on that. But I don't know. It seems fine to me. But it's still early. But it feels like it's got a tight binding there. It feels like those pages turn pretty well. But I'm going to make my way through this, or the G.I. Joe one, or both at the same time, and I'll let you know. I don't have the answers right now. But speaking of Transformers, this last bit of show and tell is something I've been really wanting for a while. And I finally got it. I finally got it, y'all. This is my Transformers Siege War for Cybertron trilogy, Jetfire. I finally got my Jetfire, y'all. I've been wanting this for a good long while. I haven't been able to really set aside the money for it, but I was able to do that a couple of weeks ago. And so I finally picked it up. I have wanted this figure since it first released. They did a re-release. This is the re-release. But I feel like Jetfire is essential to my Transformers collection. So there you go. Brian says, I won't buy any Marvel Omnibuses because of that. Marvel Omnibuses, for the most part, will stick together. You just got to make sure you stretch the spine out first. And if you don't know how to stretch out a spine of an omnibus, and I'm not, Brian, I'm sure you do, but they still will have that problem. I know what you're talking about. I don't like the hardcovers anymore either. But so far, and like I said, I haven't read through one of these, and these are super fucking thick. But I can hold it in one hand without, like, giving myself a hernia, which is nice. And I don't lose any of the pages, which I like as well. And even when I'm doing that, it's not like doing crazy bends in the spine. So, I don't know. You'll have to ask somebody who's actually read through, like, say, their G.I. Joe one or whatever. But even me, like, the Kickstarter hardcovers, I feel like those would be harder to stack up than just a paperback. And honestly, as long as they keep this in print, if it does eventually fall apart 10 years from now, you can get another one for $60. Why not? I don't know. But yeah, I got this Jetfire, finally. And I'm in love with it, even though I haven't opened it. Oh, yeah. All right. Tomorrow night, PCP movie night. We're talking about Ninja Scroll at 8 p.m. Central Time, so do join the channel for that on PCP movie night. We're also going to be doing the Best Comics of the Month stream on Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be a grand old time, and it's going to be a hot time in the old town tonight. But anyway, thank you all so much for checking out the show. I appreciate you. We'll be back next time. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. We'll see what happens. Next week is Jelani's birthday. So I don't know what we're doing. If we ain't doing anything, then we'll check it out. So there you go. Appreciate y'all. We're dipping out. Love you. Station. Pop, pop. Boom. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the post-credits. It's been a minute since we've done a post-credits, but y'all, I cannot wait to open up this Jetfire figure. I've waited so long to have it, so we're going to open it up right now. Who all is still here? Shout out if you're still here. Who is the post-credits crew, the PCC of PCP? Let's see it. Fable's here. What's up, my man? I was at Jelani's last night watching Saturday night's main event, and I was like, bro, that Jetfire right there is so badass. He goes, that's the one that you just got. I was like, no fucking shit. No fucking shit. It's that big? I was super excited. Frankenfrog is here. Been ghost watching. Hell yeah. Who else is still here? There's a few of y'all here. Fucking Jetfire, y'all. Eric's still here. What's up, Eric? This one goes out to you. Out there on the lonely road. Not the burp. That wasn't for you. Tonight I feel ambitious, and so does my foot as it sinks on the pedal. I press it to the floor. I don't need a girl, don't need a friend, 'cause my friend lonesome's unconditional. We're flying forever board. And for a second, I love everything I think and see and feel. I love my broken side view mirror. 'Cause it's so perfect, you're so perfect. Wait. 'Cause it's so perfect, I'm so perfect. You're not perfect, you're not here. I hear the changing gears, my pile shakes as I hit 80 on the open road. This is an open road song. Can't remember the third verse. I did it that far without lyrics. I crack a window and feel the cool air cleanse my every pore as I pour my poor heart out to a radio song that's patient and willing to listen. My volume drowns it out. Yeah, but that's okay, 'cause I sound better than him anyway, any day. Yeah, my voice is sweet as salt. I search for comfort and I find it where I found it many times before. Time before can be forgotten. Yeah, my pile shakes as I hit 80 on the open road. My pile shakes as I hit 80 on the open road. My pile shakes as I hit 80 on the open road. This is an open road song. All right, Eric out there on the cruising highways. Glad you can be here now. In detriment to our regularly scheduled program of atoms and quarks and what they mean to us, the smallest bits of matter making the most important matter in the universe, we are instead going to defer to our previous double feature Tuesdays, twofer Tuesdays, and give you a second track from the alternative band from the 90s, Eve 6, though they are still operable and still doing stuff today. Max Collins has been doing a lot of interesting stuff. However, Eve 6 is one of those bands to never be forgotten, one of the greatest of all times. Here is their biggest hit from their self-titled debut album, Inside Out. See if I can do this from memory. No lyrics. I would swallow my pride, I would choke on the rinds. The lack thereof would leave me empty inside. Swallow my doubt, turn it inside out. Find nothing but faith in nothing. Wanna put my tender heart in a blender. I just spin around to a beautiful oblivion. Rendezvous, then I'm through with you. I burn like a wicker cabinet, chalk white and oh so frail. I see our time has gotten stale. The tick-tock of the clock is painful, all sane and logical. I wanna tear it off the wall. I hear words and clips and phrases, I think sick like ginger ale. My stomach turns and I exhale. I'll swallow my pride, I would choke on the rinds. The lack thereof would leave me empty inside. Swallow my doubt, turn it inside out. Find nothing but faith in nothing. Wanna put my tender heart in a blender. I just spin around to a beautiful oblivion. Rendezvous, then I'm through with you. SoCal is where my mind states, but it's not my state of mind. I'm not as ugly sad as you. Or am I origami, folded up and just pretend, demented as the motives in your head? I'll swallow my pride, I would choke on the rinds. The lack thereof would leave me empty inside. Would swallow my doubt, turn it inside out. Find nothing but faith in nothing. Wanna put my tender heart in a blender. I just spin around a beautiful oblivion. Rendezvous, then I'm through with you. A rendezvous. Rendezvous. I alone am the one you don't know you need. Take heed, feed your ego. Make me blind when your eyes close. Sink when we get close. Tie me to the bedpost. I alone am the one you don't know you need. You don't know you need me. Make me blind when your eyes close. Tie me to the bedpost. I will swallow my pride. I would choke on the rinds. The lack thereof would leave me empty inside. Swallow my doubt, turn it inside. I'll find nothing but a faith in nothing. Wanna put my tender heart in a blender. I just spin around to a beautiful oblivion. Rendezvous, now I'm through. Now I'm through with you. Do-do. Dun-dun. Dun-dun. Throw away the owl. Rendezvous, then I'm through with you. All right, that goes out to our man on the speeding fast highways out there, Eric from 9-Panel Grid, who says the next Rockin Robbie live karaoke night, I'm totally requesting These Eyes by The Guess Who, but replace the words with These Eyes with These Nuts. We'll take that into consideration, but one more thing. We'll throw back, in detriment, to our upcoming show about atoms and quarks, why the smallest bits of matter matter the most and greatest in all of the universe. We'll get to that here just a second on PCP PR. We're going to go back and defer to our Triple Threat Thursdays. That's right, our 3 for Thursdays, and give you a third Eve 6 tune. The lesser known, but still a moderate hit from the self-titled debut album from Eve 6 from 1998. Here is Leech. Tell those stories to me. I'm dying to hear the things you've done and seen. Far-fetched as they may be, you strike a smile at me. Your stories ring of perjury. Construe a self-empowering themes. Sucking on my brain, you're the teacher, I'm the student. Turning things around, your story's not congruent. Tabloid decoys, pitiful excuses. You're turning things around. You're turning things around. Go! Anybody remember this one? Does anybody remember this one? Come on, man. A manic, stunning scene. I'm taking notes, you're taking me away into your false reality. I know your comfort lies in line to try to make your life make sense. But you're not making sense with your 2 cents. You're sucking on my brain. You're the teacher, I'm the student. Turning things around, this story's not congruent. Tabloid decoys, pitiful excuses. Turning things around, you're turning things around. Ooh, I am lying, but I'm not allowed. Ooh, I see your head spin around and round. Broken record talk tonight. Skip that needle back and forth on your mind, wearing out unconvincing lies. Like a seedling dropped from an old oak tree, your shade don't hide no sun from me. Fake stories humor me, it's graduation time. I love you like a mother. Sucking on my brain, you're the teacher, I'm the student. Turning things around, your story's not congruent. Tabloid decoys, pitiful excuses. You're turning things around, you're turning things around. Yeah! Yeah, yeah, you turn things around. Yeah, yeah, you're sucking on my brain. Yeah, yeah, you're turning things around. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a little Eve 6 triple threat for you. 3 for Thursday, throwing back. And now we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled program about atoms and quarks. How do the smallest bits of matter matter so much on the grandest scale? Coming up here, after I open up this fucking jet fire. Boom! Let's fucking do it. I love Eve 6, by the way, y'all. I know your comfort lies in line to try to make your life make sense. But you're not making sense. Oh, he's all up in there, too. With some cardboard, we're gonna rip it. Try to get this motherfucker out. Damn, he's huge. Oh my God, he's so fucking big. He's bigger than my fucking head. And y'all know I got a big ass head. That's dope as shit. Can we get him out of here before we drop? Because by the way, that show coming up about atoms and quarks, it's gonna be pretty dope. You're sucking on my brain. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm gonna stab myself in the goddamn stomach. Someone get this knife away from me. Cut. What? Oh, the goddamn arms. Yes, sir, can you do me a favor? Make me a cowboy like my next door neighbor. Pardon me, sir, can I use your eraser to remove my brain of unconventional nature? Take my tongue, it's cocked and loaded. You have dubbed a special student. Sit alone, sweat in silence. We won't tolerate defiance, vigilante thoughts, and a cheap guitar. I am my own movie star. I don't know you. I don't want to. I don't know you. I don't want to. Yeah. That's pretty fucking dope. Look at this goddamn fucking jet fire up in the hizzy. I got a jet fire now. I can't be stopped. You look at me. I won't fucking drop this jet fire on the table. You think that I'm never gonna be able to tell you what you wanna see? Let me tell you that you can't see me, 'cause I'm the man who I been ya. I'm like that motherfucker John Cena. Cena? I fucked it up, but I let it go. And this is what we do on the road. Everybody knows what I will never retire. This is my jet fire. I want to be clear. This is my beer. It's not a hobby, 'cause I am Rockin Robbie, and you know what it be. This is PCP. The year that's next will not be like what's left. This is the year X. And if you're not down with PCPX, I got 2 words to tell you. Get fucked. Deuces!